everyone, and welcome once again to Wrestling Showdown Rewind here, of course, on the W3L network every Sunday at 12 o'clock. As always, thank you for joining and subscribing. If you haven't hit the button, one button click is all it takes. You can notified every time something gets put up here on the W3L network. We've put out loads and loads of shows. They're all playlisted. You can go and watch them at your leisure, and that'll keep you occupied until we can bring you some live pro wrestling. These are the dates we currently have scheduled. They were of course planned for earlier this year. And actually had to be changed on a couple of occasions. But do not worry, all original tickets remain valid and will remain valid until these events take place. You're not going to miss it. If you still bought your ticket for the events in the year, keep hold of them, they will remain valid, you'll be fine. These may need to be rescheduled again, but as soon as we're able to bring you live pro wrestling, we'll let you know. Make sure you keep your eyes trained on our social media platforms for full details. Then if you want more to watch, why not head to W3LBoxOffice.com. Full live events, compilations, a 10-year documentary. And it's all there for you to watch via digital download. And again, all these things will tide you over until we're back up and running with live, first run, never before seen pro wrestling. And when we are back running live, we will have Crafty Connoisseur back on board as our live event sponsors. Thank you so much to them. They are still active. Hit up their website, make a purchase, and they will send it straight out to you. So no matter what tier you're in, Crafty Connoisseur can supply your needs. Look them up, make a purchase, tell them that we said hello. And if you're going to make a purchase on anything, hit up our website. You can buy DVDs, you can buy some of our fantastic clothing line, and of course you can buy a fan support package. Prices generally only begin at £5, so we've got some Black Friday deals on. And for that money you get cheap ringside tickets, you get DVDs, a signed poster, and an exclusive video message from a W3L star of your choice. All that available from our website. But first, let's have this week's match. We return to 2009 and we bring you part of the pre-eminent women's wrestling feud of the era. The defending W3L Women's Champion Sara has to take on her arch rival Carmel Jacob. Now, these two women fought numerous times for numerous promotions. They set the template for female wrestling in Scotland. So it's great we were able to relive part of that historic war between these two women here on Rewind. And of course, the W3L Women's Championship is up for grabs. Will Carmel raise it? Will she walk away as the new champion, or is Sara going to retain it yet again? Let's find out by getting down to ringside for this week's match.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Fordyce here with you on Wrestling Showdown Rewind. We return to the March of 2009 for this week's contest, which, as you can see, is for the W3L Women's Championship. The defending champion in the blue and white is Sara, and the challenger in the black and the pink is Carmel, which is later known as Carmel Jacob. But like many females in wrestling, as it just seemed to be the way that when she started out she only had one name. And Sara, of course, has been here on Wrestling Showdown Rewind before. It was 3 weeks ago when she issued an open challenge. That was from the May of 2008, so that's nearly 1 year prior to this contest. She issued an open challenge to anybody, and it was the very good Mr. Ewan G. Mackey who answered the challenge. If you've not seen it, you can go back and watch that here on the network. It's all playlisted. We've got a lock-up, and Sara with a knee lift right away. It's the first time we've seen Carmel on Rewind, and here's the thing, I mean, Carmel's one of the better known females in Scottish wrestling, certainly up to a few years ago. Of course, in sort of November of 2016 she retired from in-ring competition, but she's appeared a couple of times in a sort of non-wrestling capacity. See Sara pulling at the hair, backing her at the ropes. Oh, coming with a Casadora, and a lovely arm drag. Goes back to the control of the arm. Now, if you're familiar with Carmel, you'll probably know her as being fairly unpopular. I think it's safe to say she's not always a particularly pleasant person, and she's one of the most despised female wrestlers in all of Scottish wrestling. So maybe a bit weird seeing her here being cheered, but it's fair to say that she started her career with the crowd behind her. And that was the formation bit. She's better known as being a more villainous character, and very good at it she was too. But you can see all these things that she can do. I mean, certainly in later years Carmel would just do a lot of choking and she'd break all the rules, but she can definitely go, and you're seeing it here. She's got a lot of ability. Sara just trying to get out of this, and arm drags down Carmel. And if you know anything about the history of Scottish women's wrestling, then you'll know that this pretty much, and again this is March 2009, this was the feud. Sara and Carmel, you could argue, put each other on the map. Sarah's the matriarch of Scottish women's wrestling, which she truly is. Carmel's not far behind her. I mean, these two wrestled each other multiple times for pretty much every single promotion in Scotland. They defined what Scottish women's wrestling is, and it's quite nice. And this is one of the great things about Rewind, is you get to go back in history and see what these people were doing. You get to these archival classic matches that have never been seen since they first took place. Sara getting that cheap shot in, and just launches her by the hair. And these two, of course, would become firm friends, and later on they formed the Glamour Gym, went on to terrorise companies throughout Scotland and down in England as well. The referee being easily distracted. He's noticed what's going on. Makes the count. Sara's to break that joke. So anyway, in the interim Carmel launched the game by the hair. In the interim between the May of 2008, which was when the last match involving Sara here in Rewind took place, and this one, March 2009, she has retained the Women's Championship. She's defended it against the likes of Nikki Storm, now of course Nikki Cross, goes for a cover. She's defended against Sweet Saraya Knight. She also defended it against Carmel as well. So she's been retaining the title by hook or by crook. The prior month to this match, the February 2009, Sara was part of the Remedy event, and she once again faced E.G. Mackey, as he was back then. And if you know your W3L history, they met in the infamous hair straighteners on a pole match. It is a legendary contest, Sara versus Mackey, hair straighteners on a pole, and that was the month prior to this match. Of course, she won the Women's Championship at the inaugural Resolution event as she backbreakers Carmel and holds on a version of the bow and arrow. If you've not seen Resolution, it's available on DVD, or of course you can go to WTLboxoffice.com and view it via digital download. Could be big double here. You see why Sara's been such a dominant champion, why she defined the WTL women's division. She's antagonising this audience. Ironically, I think that Carmel would go on to do in later years. Let's see, in firm control. We're going for it again. Carmel reverses direction with the head scissors. Not a move you normally see her using, but she took down Sara there. Was going to get caught in that backbreaker twice, I think. Goes in for the cover here. Just makes herself a 2. Carmel debuted for WTL in around mid 2007. Obviously she competed all through the west of Scotland. She started through there and then went to wrestle for WTL for a bit as well. And these two, again, I've met a number of times before. Most notably, Sara overcame Carmel in the first round of the tournament to crown the first ever women's champion. So I think that had never quite sat nicely with Carmel. She felt that maybe she'd been cheated out of that victory and could have potentially been the first women's champion. As Sara goes to the cover, Carmel powering out. Again, Carmel would go on to face pretty much every female in Scottish wrestling that you could name. Being her and Sara, you could argue with the gatekeepers of Scottish wrestling, because if you were a female and you were coming through, you'd have to go through them at some point, go through one or the other, if not both. There's the cover again. Sara, I think, would be realising she needs to put Carmel away. We saw before, she hit the backbreaker and the bow and arrow and just gave Carmel ample time to recover. What she did with that head scissors. Sara nailing these shoulder blocks to the midsection. Again, I couldn't even begin to count the amount of times that these two have fought. They fought everywhere. They helped define Pro Wrestling Eve, of course, one of the all-women's promotions down in England. It was the Glamour Gym. They were there from the very start and helped build that organisation. They set the template, much like they did up in Scotland. As Carmel gets caught in this surfboard stretch. See, Sara's got the knee right in between the shoulder blades, pulling back in the arms, and Carmel gets a foot on the ropes. Referee making the break there. And Sara's firmly controlled this contest. This is, her domain. She is W3L through and through. She's been the women's champion here for a good old while. It was the September of 2007 resolution that she won the championship, and then in the March of 2009 she's retained it by hook or by crook ever since. But this throttling Carmel, lifting her up off the mat. Of course, because she's on the ropes, she only has that count of 5 to break. She's got her again. Oh, but Carmel turns into a snapmare. And now climbing the top turnbuckle. Again, in later years, it's not something she would normally do. And a flying body press, and she's folded up Sara. Oh, that was so close. Love the flying body press. Talk about taking a chance there. I think I thought they were beginning to turn in Carmel's favour, but Sara just rolls to the floor. Obviously realised she was going to get clobbered. Sara clearly knew Carmel had something in mind, so she's gone to the floor to break the momentum. Of course, the Women's Championship up for grabs. If she walks away from the ring, she'll be counted out and therefore would retain the championship. And Carmel just biding her time. Sara arguing with the referee, saying stay back, and she's slowly getting in the ring, but oh, hold on. Oh, Sara one step ahead. Carmel grabbed her, but Sara snapped her neck in the top rope and goes in for the cover and turns the momentum back in her favour. Was Carmel, very intelligent, very clever woman. If you've ever heard her talk, which is I think a lot of fans loved when she would have these promos, if you like, in interviews. She was very cerebral, very well spoken. She has a master's degree in educational psychology, so this is no slouch. This is Carmel Jacob. She's a very intelligent woman. She's done a lot of great work in the care sector to raise awareness for certainly some of the struggles that younger people go through having to be carers. She wrote a lovely blog about that a few years ago. I'm sure you can still find that online if you have a look. And she, hang on, hold of Sara. What's she going for here? Trying for a suplex, but Sara spins out. Oh, and she went for a Northern Light suplex, but Carmel reversed the momentum and dropped Sara on her head with that DDT. Now both women are down, the referee applying the count. And Carmel slowly crawling over. Oh, covers Sara. Is she going to get the victory? She's quite close to the ropes. And Sara kicks out though. And there's some frustration from Carmel. This is the biggest opportunity I think she's had to win the Women's Championship. And again, she's battled Sara before, but of course with each successive match she learns more about what Sara can and can't do. You sort of chip away at the armour and try and find a new strategy. So it's a good opportunity for Carmel to walk away as Women's Champion. Of course, doing that and saying that are two very different things. Sara's pummeling her in the corner. Carmel launched hard at the corner. Oh, but comes flying out. Just took a moment to absorb the impact and comes with a clothesline, but nearly got her, but not quite. And this crowd wait with bated breath as both of them giving it their all. It's gone back and forth. Carmel's turned a couple of almost near defeats into a couple of pinning opportunities, and wow, Sara went flying on that one. And this could be it. I think Carmel's going to wrap this one up in her favour, but Sara again kicking out. See, once Carmel's able to string some offense together, Sara's really on the back foot, and she's been struggling, and you can see the battles between these two. You can understand why they became friends, why they gained so much respect for each other. And Sara hits that knee lift, just like if she started the match. Hoists her up and tries down with the serotonin. Is she going to be able to put away with this? Doesn't quite. But it came very close. Now Sara's getting frustrated. And here's another thing to think about. Sara's retained the title versus Carmel before. Oh wait, she took her eye off the prize and gets rolled up for her trouble. And Carmel had her folded in half there. And you've got to think, if you've beaten somebody a couple of times before, surely in your mind you're like, well, I can beat them anytime. But she's struggling. Oh, hold on, we're going to see the Carmel crunch. That's exactly what it was. Sara driven at the mat. Carmel neglecting to go for the pin. Maybe feeling she needs an extra move. Needs to put an exclamation point on that. And ascending the top turnbuckle. She had a lovely flying body press earlier on, and the referee being pushed at the ropes. That's surely a disqualification. And you cannot argue that was an accident. But obviously letting it go, I mean, the downside to that, of course, is that Carmel was unbalanced and has fallen heavily into the ring. Knocked the breath out of her lungs. Sara just taking a moment to clear her head as Carmel sits trying to recover in the corner. It was a bad spill she took. The referee just checking on her. I mean, come on, surely a disqualification was warranted there. Oh, and now just a slap to the face. How is she getting away with this? How is it that she's getting away with this? Sara grabbing Carmel and drives out the cameras with a DDT and going for the cover and defeats her. What an absolute travesty that was. Sara once again the women's champion, retaining the title. You can see why she's been champion for so long. Manhandling the referee, slapping him in the face, nothing happening. I cannot believe that W3L management are letting this stand. Carmel gave a fantastic account of herself, really showed the skill that she has. She came close in winning on a number of occasions. But Sara, under extraordinarily controversial circumstances, walks away as your W3L Women's Champion here on Wrestling Showdown Rewind.
You can definitely see why Sara versus Carmel was the foundation for Scottish women's wrestling. They paved the way for everyone that has come along since. It's great to be able to revisit. It's one of the great things about doing Wrestling Showdown Rewind. We dip into the archives, we bring you never before seen footage, and you get to revisit all these historical matches, all these bits of history, and it's so much fun. It makes you never miss an episode of Rewind. If you've hit the subscribe button, you won't, every Sunday at 12 o'clock here on the network. And of course, check out the box office as well. Full live events, compilations, a documentary, all that via digital download. You can watch it to your heart's content. And of course, you can watch that and just until we bring you live wrestling. And hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later. Obviously, restrictions prevent us from doing that right now. These are the dates you rescheduled from earlier in this year. All original tickets are still valid and will remain valid for as long as it takes. We'll bring these events to you by hook or by crook eventually, and make sure that you're part of them whenever they happen. Of course, all these dates subject to change yet again, but we will keep you updated. As soon as we know, you'll know. Make sure you're checking out all of our social media. And when we're back, Crafty Connoisseur will be back with us as our live event sponsor. Their website is still active. Check that out. Make a purchase from them. They'll send to you wherever you are. You'll have to leave the house, so make a purchase from them. Tell them that we said hello. If you're making a purchase by a fan support package, helps you help us until we can bring you live wrestling. £5 is the minimum price, sent to every single budget. And again, you get cheap ringside tickets, a DVD, you'll get a signed poster and an exclusive video message from a W3L star of your choice. All that, as well as the amazing clothes that we have. We've got hoodies, tank tops, t-shirts, you name it, in a variety of designs, all available on our website, which is w3lwrestling.com. Make your purchases from there, and sign up to the mailing list while you're at it. Give us a like on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, join us on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Use that hashtag. What do you think of Sara versus Carmel? Can you see why they defined Scottish women's wrestling, and everybody else that's come along since owes them a massive debt of gratitude? It was the #1 women's match. They fought everywhere, for everyone. They set the template. And of course, make sure you come back, because we have got more wrestling for you next week. We're continuing to dip into the archives. Something quite special next week, actually, but I'll not spoil it for you. So join me back here in 7 days' time for another edition of Wrestling Showdown Rewind.